You're listening to the #1 podcast for nonprofit leaders, getting your nonprofit fully funded. This is the Fundraising Masterminds podcast. Well, welcome back to another episode of the Fundraising Masterminds podcast. We are so excited that you are with us today. Thank you again for tuning in. I've got my co-host with me, Jim Dempsey.
Hey, Jason.
Jim has over 38 years of experience working with one of the largest nonprofit organizations in the world, Crew.
Yep.
And he has personally raised millions, hundreds of millions, maybe even $1 billion in funds for Crew over his 38 years.
Right.
And that's one of the reasons why we started this podcast, because there is a lot of information on YouTube and when you Google fundraising ideas, and there's a lot of people out there throwing a lot of ideas out there, but we've discovered that there's actually a system that works.
Yes.
Crew, or some of these really large organizations who are, if you were to knock on their door and say, do you come up with 10 different ways of raising money every year, they would say no.
No,
we don't do that. We actually, we have a system of one or two things that we do consistently.
We do it well.
And we do it well,
That's right.
and it works, and it grows. And so that's why we started this podcast, is because we want to help bring some of the wealth of knowledge that people have, that the people like Jim have acquired over 40 years of doing something that we know works. Yeah. Right. So you can go onto YouTube and you can search, 10 fancy new fundraising ideas, or kind of like get
the
rich
hottest
quick
approach to
the hottest approach to doing something. And really you're taking a risk there. Because you don't know if it's going to work or not. And what we found is a lot of times they may bring in some money, but they don't bring in the long-term partners that we're really looking to have.
Well, I think a great example of that, Jason, happened in 2020. I can't tell you how many of my colleagues, when we shifted from the live events to virtual events, everyone said live events are now dead. Everything is going to be virtual from this point on. Well, you know what's dead? Virtual events. That's what's dead. And those events died off quickly. They went up like a rocket and came down just as fast. Yeah. We have really identified what are the tried and true methods of raising money. Yeah. And those are the things that we bring you every week on this podcast.
Yeah, so if that's something that gets you excited, if you want the tried and true methods of fundraising, of development, of building your donor base for your nonprofit, these are the things that actually work, then hit subscribe on this podcast, because we are going to be releasing brand new episodes every week, exactly talking about this, how to grow your nonprofit the right way through actual experience.
Not get rich quick methods.
But there are some things you can do that will get you fairly quick results.
Yes.
One of them is our perfect vision dinner model. Now, when we say fairly quick, we're saying like 20 weeks. And a lot of people just don't have the patience to wait 20 weeks or to do the work for 20 weeks. But we're saying if you can imagine 5 months from now having $100,000 in your nonprofit, or, if you're currently at $100,000, maybe getting to that 200,000, or if you're at the 200,000, getting to that 400,000, whatever it is, that you want to get to, we can help you get there through our perfect vision dinner strategy. And it's super, super, super valuable information, but people seem to be more attracted to the trinkets and the new things and stuff like that. Right. And it's really unfortunate.
But this is not your father's podcast channel, though, Jason, either. We really do bring modern twists and modern approaches to some of those old tried and true methods.
Yeah. So one of the most effective ways that you can fundraise is through writing appeal letters. And whether you are doing an appeal in an event context, or whether you're writing an email, or whether you're writing a newsletter, you have to have a way of presenting your organization. No matter what the medium, you have to have a way of presenting the organization.
A compelling way, a compelling theme
and
or
so
message.
What we're going to talk about in this podcast right now is 10 secrets that you got to know in order to write an effective appeal letter. Jim, let's get into these 10 secrets.
Sounds great.
Give me secret number 1.
Absolutely. Well, secret number 1 is write to one person.
Right.
Know that you are writing not to a group of people.
Hey, everybody.
Yeah.
We're so glad to reach everybody.
Right. Only one person is reading your letter at a time.
Right.
So you need to make sure you write to that one person. I've found that it really helps to visualize what person makes up your audience. If it's a 45-year-old man, write to a 45-year-old man. If it's a 65-year-old widow, write to a 65-year-old widow. Think in your mind who that is and write specifically to that person and not a group of people. And of course, as you're starting out, you always want it, dear friend or dear Mary, and not dear friends, because it will not come across as effectively.
Right. What I've done in the past is I've actually taken my ideal person, printed out a photo, and put it on the wall.
Yes.
And so when you're writing your email, look at that person and write to them.
Yes.
Like you're writing to your like you're writing a personal letter
to your Aunt Millie or whoever, right?
And that really helps to have that personal touch. Well, that's great. Well, now secret number 2 is focus on motivations.
Right. Absolutely. Well, you need to understand, to focus on the motivation, you need to understand your audience well enough to know what motivates them to give. And typically, it's going to be either your mission or the problem that your organization was started.
Right.
So they generally will have the same heart and passion as you do. If you have a homeless organization, or you run a food pantry, or you are bringing clean water to people, find out what it is that motivates those people, because those are the causes, those are the projects, the programs that you're going to want to focus your letter towards.
Right.
Stay on target. Don't give people a wide variety of things to give to. Stay on target. Exactly.
Stay on target.
That is so important, so critical. Yep.
Okay. Well, that's great. Number 3, we have describe your work.
Yes, absolutely.
What is it that you do?
Right, that's right. You have got to, we always talk about finding out what the problem is and then giving a solution.
Yep.
And the solution generally, if you do it effectively, will be your organization. It's the work of your organization and what you're doing. You probably started with a mission that includes part of what you hope to accomplish with that. So explain to them how and what you do, and be very clear in these are the kinds of things that we do to help solve the problem that I've described earlier.
Right. So a good example of a letter like this is, hey, Jim, I'm so excited that you are a part of this organization. I want to share with you some testimonies of what God is doing in this organization, talking to them directly, describing, here's the problems that we are seeing in our city, and we believe you can help us.
Right.
You can help us solve these problems.
Yep.
And so just being very direct and personal, right? And talking to that person really helps, rather than, hey, friends, did you know that homelessness is a problem in the world, and we exist to solve homelessness, and here's 5 ways that you can help us solve homelessness today. Please give a gift of any amount. Right. It's just like, it's not personal, it's not direct,
it's not specific.
It's very loosey-goosey, and it's not, you're not even really asking them, it's like, well, I understand that homelessness is a problem, but
how does that apply to me?
How does that apply to me?
Yeah,
why do I need to care about this?
And what can I do to help? To be honest, it's such a vast problem.
So secret number 4 is define the opportunity. Right. And be specific.
Yes.
Right.
Absolutely. Well, it's been said that every organization has needs, but few have exciting opportunities. You want to present to them an opportunity to be part of something great and something big. If your organization is making a difference in the lives of people, you want to let them know that we are seeing great success and some neat things are happening. Come join us. Join us in this effort. So together as partners, we can accomplish this goal. So present to them an opportunity to partner with you to see results in particular areas, whether that's sending, scholarshiping athletes, impoverished athletes to a summer camp where they'll hear character traits and learn traits about being better leaders. Those kinds of things can help you from the standpoint of presenting a good opportunity.
Right. And the fifth secret is kind of piggybacking off of that. It's explain how the need is being met.
Yes,
which
exactly.
Again, so the fourth one is define the opportunity or the need.
Yeah.
But then how is the fifth one a little different?
Well, the fifth one is different. This is where you're unpacking some of those stories. You are letting them know that here are some lives that have been changed in the past, and here are lives that can be changed in the future. So you really want to focus in on the outcome in this. So before we're talking about the methods and the strategies, but here's now the outcome. It's almost like, if I'm comparing it, it's like you're selling stock on one hand, but the real clincher will be what's the return on investment? What's the outcome of that stock? Well, it's exactly the same way. Here's programs, here's plans, here's strategies, but here's the results. Here's the outcome that's going to happen. The opportunity to be involved is one thing, but presenting the results and outcome are so important.
So these 5 things that we've shared so far are used in all of your material that you write.
Right.
And you had said that you write emails every month. And I was just wondering if you'd be willing to share one of those with us, that we can kind of see these secrets being played out in real life.
Yeah. Well, here's a great example right here. This is an email that was sent out actually it was the beginning of May for this year. But the headline is, help send Cru students to closed countries this summer to share Christ. And we talk about Ben, meeting Ben. Ben's a young man to whom you gave a life-changing gift. He lives in a country that's closed to the gospel, where most people follow a religion that's strict and where believers are at a risk of persecution. He didn't know about Jesus until you sent a Cru team to his town, and for the first time, he heard the gospel message. He's connected to a local biblical community now, and even though it can be dangerous for Christians in this region of the world, he's growing in Christ, learning to share his faith. Thank you for giving him the most important gift he'll ever receive. I can't tell you Ben's real name or the country that he comes from, because I don't want to put our partners at risk in these perilous places. But I do want to tell you these exciting news. Our goal is to have 300 Cru students from North America make their way this summer to countries that are said to be closed to the gospel. They'll be reaching out to students and seekers as part of our Open Windows partnership, and it's a collaborative effort between Cru and our international partners that will not include just summer missions projects, but long-term programs. And the letter goes on to explain the opportunities that you have to be able to send students through with our Open Windows program and provide them with these clear opportunities for need.
Yeah, and I could see like you're using words like you, right? Like you
very
sent
you
this
focused.
person to thank you for making this happen.
Right.
But I like the focus of the story. The story really draws me in.
Right.
You're not saying, we sent 5,000 people here and 10,000 people are doing this, and we reached all these people, and you're really focused in on making it personal,
right?
And bringing the story to light, and then making the opportunities clear, of what it is that you're actually asking. Well, we got 5 more secrets that we want to share with you. We actually decided that we wanted to split it up into 2 parts. So if you want to get part 2 of this episode, there's a link in the description of this video or this podcast description. Click on the link and it will direct you to part 2 of this video, where we will discuss the remaining 5 secrets to this full 10 secret part of crafting an appeal. And if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to this podcast, because we release practical, biblical solutions for all things nonprofit. We release one new episode a week, and we don't want you to miss any others. Well, Jim, thanks again for your wisdom in on this topic, and make sure that you don't miss part 2. The link is in the description. You can click on the QR code on the screen, but continue on with part 2, and we'll see you in the next episode.